In the previous part, we learned how to set up the cluster. The cluster is up and running. Click Connect to the master node using SSH. For those of you that have Windows, these are the instructions that you use. You need to first download the PuTTY. Okay, this is a link that you can use to download the PuTTY. I would simply go to the web and search for PuTTY download for Windows and click the first link. Click here and based on your system choose the 64-bit or 32-bit installer. The process should be straightforward. Simply follow the instructions on the screen. Click Save. Once it's downloaded, open, click Next. Open PuTTY and go to Hostname box. Here, you need to log the IP address or the host name. The host name and the IP address is shown on the console here, and it is the host name field is this entire string. So you have to simply copy the host name here and let's see, let's get the PuTTY here. Right click and paste. Here, port 22, it's the default port. Then I want you to go to the SSH, expand this, and click on the authorization, and here you will be asked to upload the key. So I'm going to browse and go to my desktop and find the key. In this case, when I set up the cluster, I save the key on the desktop. Click Open. Then, once I do that, open. Click Yes. And the cluster is ready. The next thing we need to know to setting up our working environment for big data analytics is how to transfer files from our system to the cluster. So to do that, we can use an FTP program called WinSCP. WinSCP, which I'm going to demonstrate in this video, is an open source file transfer client for Windows. So to download that, if you don't have it in your computer, you need to go to the web and search for WinSCP downloads. The search will lead you to WinSCP download page. So that will take you to the downloading file. So go ahead and click download. Just simply follow the steps. Let's place it on the desktop. So if you open the WinSCP file here, click Yes, we'll accept, next, install, click Finish. Once WinSCP is in our computer, open the program. You'll see this logging information. It's like a new site. So on the left side you see my files in this computer, that where I've been trying to access the cluster. First, let's copy and paste the host name. The host name, if you remember the host name, this is there. And again, connect to the cluster. So we can copy that. And that's what I need to paste. And I click, so I do that. Our username is Hadoop. We leave the password empty and go to Advanced. In the Advanced, select SSH authentication And the private key, we're just telling the program that we're gonna be authenticated through that key that we created earlier, and I think that key name was my AWS key. So once we have that selected, we click OK. Now click Login. We say yes to the warning. We are having access to the root of the cluster. Let's say, let me pick up a file. Let's say this aslani.txt. I can simply drag the file on the other side, and that's how you transfer the files back and forth. And if you want to have another file, for example, let's do, I don't know, this one here, you put it right here, and that's how you transfer the files here. And going back to my PuTTY, I can see that if I do an ls to see if there is files available, you see the two files that I moved are already here. At this point, we know how to set up an EMR cluster in Amazon Web Services. We also know how to connect our computer to the cluster via Secure Shell Protocol. We also know how to transfer files back and forth from our computer to the EMR. With this setup, we are ready to perform big data analytics. Let's start. If you want to learn more about big data analytics, subscribe to this channel. Also, follow me on Twitter at Professor Benny, or join my LinkedIn network. You can always email me with any questions.